Everyone. I'm Matt, your friendly guide here on Stories of a Broken Sun. We are in our third season, Stewards of a Broken Sun, this time around, and we are playing the game, Songs for the Dusk. And this time we are having a session where we are going to explore some trade agreements. Fortunately, that actual negotiation will not be happening on screen, so if you are worried about that, don't. And if you were looking forward to that, sorry. But none of us are particularly mercantile ourselves, I don't think, so we don't want to be diving into that, and we'll let the characters who know what they're doing handle it. Today we... Go ahead.
I understand the exchange of goods and services, and that's about it.
And we have a good and we have a service, and sometimes we want the one for the other. Yes, I mean, my understanding of various economic systems is pretty good, but I don't want to do the actual on-screen negotiations for that. So before we start today, there has been a new tragedy that has come up in my country here in Canada that is part of an ongoing issue of how we deal with Indigenous people and how poorly we do so on purpose. And a lot of the times here in Canada, we like to view ourselves as better than or less racist than or not as bad as our neighbors to the south. And we like to pretend that we're multicultural. But here in Canada, we are a nation built on and still fueled by the genocide of Indigenous people. It's not an accident that so many of our laws just happen to disproportionately target Indigenous people, and it's not an oversight that Indigenous people make up about 5% of our population, but 30% of our prison population. It's not a coincidence that Indigenous people are subject to rules that negatively affect their ability to engage power without giving up who they are. Our settler forebears didn't forget to cooperate with the people who already lived here. They deliberately aimed to get rid of them. Indigenous languages and cultural practices didn't disappear just because there was something better about the cultures that we brought with us. The rate of death by suicide amongst Indigenous people, especially Indigenous youth, didn't appear out of nowhere. This is a deliberate and ongoing process. It's not only here in Canada, but it is in most settler colonial nations. This process of genocide has not stopped. We've slapped a land acknowledgement over it and kind of called it a day, or we make a few vague gestures and move on. But I would like you to watch what the powerful people here and abroad say about this latest tragedy. So see what powerful people, both in government and corporate spheres, say about it, and then watch what they do about it. Not just this week, not just this year, but when the public outcry has died down, when they put the flags back up to their full mast, when they think that you've forgotten about it, when they think that you've moved on. Keep watching and see what, if anything, changes, because I can pretty much guarantee you that what changes will be nothing. That is why it is extremely important, as we have been saying here for a long time now, to engage with deliberately the Indigenous people on whose land you live and work and exist. Many of us are settlers, whether we chose to be born into this role or not, and we should not have the luxury of ignoring that fact and ignoring the ways in which we benefit from the systems designed to absolutely destroy the people whose land we have taken. I will again urge everybody who is listening to this to explore the Settler Saturday hashtags on Twitter, to engage with Land Back in your region, to find out on whose land you are living and get in touch with those people and find out what you can do to help them. For many of us, we do not have a powerful voice because we are not wealthy people or because we have or lack other privileges. But for most of us, we are more likely to be able to make an impact than those who are being eradicated. And so we have the duty to wield the power that we have in ways that will be responsible and as effective as they can be. Continue to learn about this and don't look away. With that said, I will once again acknowledge that this podcast is produced on the unceded territory of the Katzie, Kwikwetlem, Kwantlen, Stz'uminus, and Musqueam people, and the treaty land of the Tsawwassen First Nation. Please continue to support Indigenous people around the world, especially now. Now, that was a pretty heavy opening, but I didn't want to leave that unaddressed, especially as it's something that we often discuss here on the podcast.
Sadly, it's the sort of thing where I'm like, oh, of course they did.
Yeah, it's not a surprise that this was found, but it is upsetting to see this once again come into the light and to see the ways in which the Truth and Reconciliation Commission it was a huge undertaking. It was deeply painful for the Indigenous people involved and their stories that they told. And there were over, I think, 100 calls to action that came out of that just a few years ago. And so far, only 10 of them have even been begun, and many of them have been co-opted by other movements. So just pay attention, look for what's happening, and see where you can stand up and step in. When we last left off, we were once again here in Medleystead, and we had found that the attempts to harness the power of the Lightning Grove to power Medleystead were, in the ways in which Concord Lagoon were first approaching it, not going particularly well. They were attempting to build an outpost that would channel power from the Lightning Groves into Medleystead to give them some electrical power. Unfortunately, something or someone was interfering with reality itself around that area of the Lightning Grove, and it led to a dead zone where no one could go in or out in terms of communication. The wave was not available there, and people were just simply not aware of what was happening. Now, Ollie and Jojo were able to make the trek into that zone, and with MP4's help, but there was something in that zone that was shutting off unprotected electronics, including MP and the Express itself. Jojo and Ollie were able to arrive at the outpost and see that it was being sabotaged. There was a mysterious creature that looked kind of like a sea cucumber with a beak and multiple limbs that Jojo had to battle along with Ollie. During the course of that battle, the outpost exploded, and there was a lightning gazer, and Jojo was able to ground that, while Ollie was able to quickly scrounge together a device to seal the rifts that were breaking open across this part of the ruderal expanse. Since then, having returned home, things have been moving along quite briskly at a quick pace in Medleystead. So we see, for example, here in Concord Lagoon, the people and researchers have been making a lot of progress based on the information that Ollie brought home. So the destruction of the experimental outpost, it yielded a large amount of data, both from optical and long-distance observation. And using this information and what Ollie got from their scans, MP4 was able to determine the best way to tap the Lightning Grove for energy. It was not through an outpost or a power plant or cables or even a mycelial network or anything along those lines, but simply to set up a large, essentially lightning rod tuned to the frequency that invigorates the Lightning Grove and sticking that on the solar array that stands over Medleystead. And this draws periodic arcs of lightning from the grove to the solar array. So you see, it's kind of like a rainbow of varicolored electricity that streaks from the Lightning Groves all the way to the solar array a couple times a day, and it just powers it entirely. And the energy that was previously powering the solar array, which was a huge amount of it, is now being freed up for the rest of the city's needs. So the energy issues that the city was dealing with have been, for now, what's the word I'm looking for? Deferred. And that was a project that the Concord Lagoon was undertaking that was completed during the last downtime. Using that same information from Ollie, the Wayfinders Guild researchers under Ruth's supervision have been able to examine the device that Ollie made and the scans as well, and they're making a lot of progress on figuring out how rifts work. And their goal is to figure out how they can map a rift's destination or origin based on where and when it appears. Where might it go, or when might it go, as there is increasing amounts of information that suggest that these rifts can reach not just through the spaces between the inflorescence, but also through time. Or perhaps time moves differently in different parts of this reality. The penitent, while all this is going on, have completed this variety of mysterious buildings that they've been setting up in the various neighborhoods around the city. And it looks like supplies are being moved into them. People keep asking the penitent what they're doing or what's going on with it, but in general, they're remaining tight-lipped about it. They're keeping this I guess, a surprise, but it's causing a bit of tension in the community because, the penitent are made up of former Sun residents and people who were formerly part of the Church of Gov. So there's always that distrust that much of the community holds towards them. So a lot of people have petitioned Concord Lagoon to ask, like, hey, what is this project that's going on? And Lagoon will reply, the project has been approved and was duly voted upon by all citizens, as with all community projects. And that is all the information that they will release. So critics and supporters alike have been trawling through the voting records to try and connect what the penitent are doing to projects that have been voted on and approved over the past years. As a sort of anarchist-type commune here in Medleystead, the idea of direct democracy is very strong. So everybody who lives here has a say in anything that will affect the community at large. There's nothing that's just done to the people or in the name of the people. It's always brought up with, here's what's suggested, here's all the information we can give you about it, what do you think? And then from there, the community makes their vote. So whatever this is has been approved, but a lot of people are kind of at loose ends trying to figure out what it could be. At the same time, there is a fight brewing. We rolled that entanglement last downtime, a fight brewing in the community. And what is happening as we open up here on the beginning of our free play segment is that there are groups of demonstrators who have arrived in the Poxed Cauldron, and they are out front of the mall. The mall, as we know, is a sort of interdimensional gateway. Every once in a while, the displays in the front of it shift to show fashions, materials, supplies, sometimes even people, if they were caught at an unlucky moment, from other realities. And so there are people here demonstrating, and there are two primary groups of demonstrators. One group is here in the wake of, both groups are here in the wake of what happened with the outpost. One group is essentially saying, we need to stop messing around with rifts. We need to shut down all rift research, all the practical rift research, until we have a way better handle on what this stuff is. Because every time we have messed with rift technology or rift magic so far, it has gone badly. First we had the pop, and then our, the Dr. Moonlock powerbomb came through and got stranded, and the team sent from Medleystead to explore through there got stranded on their end when that rift unexpectedly closed. So we lost people there, and then, there was this outpost that blew up. And beyond that, there was the train that was threatening the fabric of reality. So they're just saying, stop all of it. It's just no more. Until we have a way better theoretical understanding of this, we should not be messing around with the practicality of it in any way. And this group is, fairly vocal, of course, and they have a fairly charismatic person who is sort of leading the charge here, and that person is Bryson Stokes, who is at the head of this group of demonstrators. Everybody's holding signs, or they've got pictures and their memes and such. Bryson Stokes is 4'9", and Bryson looks a lot like a gopher, but is a anthropomorphic style gopher. This is a gene-hacked human. Bryson has the sort of irrepressible energy about him. His face is round, he's got a cleft chin, big nose, large lips. His blue eyes are large as well. The eyes are, it's like a concentric rings in his eyes between blue, brown, black, and green, like concentric circles of it heading in towards the pupil. He does have longer hair on his head. It's about shoulder length, it's braided. He's got practical clothes, fairly new, colorful, they fit him well. He's got a dark gold torque set with smooth iolite ovals, which is an indigo shaded gem. Most of his clothes are also indigo and caramel shaded. And he's holding up a big sign saying, no more rifts, or shut down the rifts, seal the rifts. On the other side of this conflict, this growing group of demonstrators that people keep arriving and joining one side or the other of this, or just watching. On the other side, you have people saying the only way for us to be safe and to move forward with this is to just dive in and just get it over with. The only way that we will understand rifts quickly enough to keep ourselves safe is by continuing to do it as safely as we can, but also as quickly as we can, because we know there are other people out there who can create rifts, who can come through rifts, who can control rifts. And if they can do it and we can't, What's to stop them from simply coming in here and doing what they want, or sending things in here secretly, or messing with us behind our backs? And we need to get back in touch with the rest of Havilon, if it still exists. And to do that, we need to be able to control rifts ourselves. So these are these two opposing philosophies, and this is sort of coming to a head right now in the wake of this outpost explosion. So where do we find Ollie, Keva, and reaching through the night as this demonstration is, all over the media, all over the news, and beginning to start to look like it's going to get heated? The people who are saying we need to dive into this rift stuff, they are headed up by Kyron Justice, who's 5'3". They look angry, determined. Their face is kind of squarish, big nose, thin-lipped. They got brown eyes as well, tapered eyebrows. They have short hair in it's called a TWA, a teeny weeny afro. It's just like a really short cut, natural black hair. I know, that's what it's called.
So good.
Yeah, and it's just close to the head, curly, not curly, kinky hair. And they have scruffy clothes. They're earthy colored clothing, no jewelry on them. And they are holding up signs about, get in there, trip the rift for our own protection. Right, today I am joined by the players of those characters I mentioned, so I should introduce them. So we'll start off with Keekers. Keekers, you're here playing Keva. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Yes, hi everyone. It's me, Keekers, also known as Be a Space Cat. I use she, her pronouns, and today I am playing Keva Charma, who is also a possessor of she, her pronouns. And yes, that's all.
Thank you. And we've got Mike with us.
Hello, everyone. It's still me, MacLeod. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm reprising my role of reaching through the night. Who is he, him? He's a starfish man.
He sure is. And we've got Trudy with us today.
Hi, this is Trudy. I play Ollie Oxenfree, the resident scrapper. Our pronouns are both they, them, and Ollie is definitely in the camp of research.
Okay, and once again, I'm Matt, your friendly guide here. My pronouns are here, they. You can find me on Twitter at Whycalibur, follow the show at Broken Sun RPG, or visit our website, brokensunrpg.com. All right, we open up. We have a crane shot of these gathering crowds, and the tensions are growing. There aren't police in Medleystead, because why would there be? But you can see that there are people starting to show up in between these groups as well, being like, "Oh, maybe we need some mediation here before this gets out of hand." So where do we find the Myriad? I guess where do the Myriad come down on this? Each members of them.
Yeah, like I said earlier, Ollie's totally pro, researching as much as possible. So that's where they stand.
Now, does that mean doing the practical research, as in the trying and doing it, or in trying to do more theoretical research and not doing any more of the practical aspect?
No, they're more on the get your hands dirty and figure it out as quickly as possible, not just waiting and being cautious. They definitely feel like we need to get out there and figure it out as quickly as possible.
Okay. How about Keva or Reaching?
I think that Keva, it's hard because I think that she's busy and is kind of trying to stop herself from doom scrolling or whatever this futuristic version of that is. So there will be, but it's not really working. So there will be points when she tries to throw herself into something else, and then other work, and then there will be points where she just gets distracted and is stuck watching this. And I have to say that Keva is more on the lines of we need to have Riff, but very carefully dealing with them. Because she had some friends that went on the other side there and got stuck there. And she really would like them to be able to come back and be able to control it.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we've heard anything from Zora, who was leading that mission.
Mm-hmm.
How about Reaching Through the Night?
I think Reaching is very much a proponent of a lot of oversight needs to go into researching this, because I know that's going to push this. He knows that the the idea of more government oversight is just going to push more people into the dark corners and keep having events like the runaway train. But it just seems like further evidence that there really needs to be a stark control of the technology and the research.
Okay. So how this works in terms of it being an entanglement.
Hello. Sorry about that. Blew through all my alarms.
Oh, hey, Velvet.
Howdy.
We're also joined by Velvet. Do you want to introduce yourself before we dive into this little bit here?
Absolutely. Dark greetings, everyone. My name is Velvet. I use they, her pronouns, and I will be playing JoJo Draws, who uses they, them, and is definitely not a huge JoJo reference.
All right. So, because of the entanglement that we rolled, community conflict, a fight breaks out in your community. Head it off, shut it down, or spend shells equal to your prosperity +1 to repair the damage. So, you have the opportunity to head it off at this point because it is still tensions brewing. There hasn't gotten... Nobody's thrown hands yet, and hopefully nobody will. There's no loud shouting or screaming or anything going on yet. People are just chanting one side or the other, and, there's people arguing, person to person in the no person's land in between these two lines that have been drawn between we need to shut down all the practical rift research on one side, and we need to dive in and just get it over with as safely but as quickly as we can, proponents on the other end. How do you want to handle it? Do you want to try and head it off, shut it down, or do you want to wait for it to blow over, and then we'll have to spend, looks like, 1 shell to repair the damage to this area of the city?
I think eventually Kevik just gets fed up with it, and then she's like, okay, we're going to need a lot of things people can write on and a giant receptacle to collect them. Then we're going to tell everyone, put down what you think and put it in the piece of paper, and we'll have people read them. And we will decide. We will see each point of view and then decide from there where people that could go either way think. I don't know. Something like that?
Do you want to try and turn this demonstration into a forum, essentially?
Yes.
Okay. That's certainly something you can try to do. It'll require some rolls, is what I'll say, if you want to de-escalate this and turn it from people shouting their ideas at each other to people having an actual conversation about it. But it's possible because of the culture of Medleystead being one of constant direct democracy and constant arguing about stuff. Like, that's what people do here because everyone's invested in making the community the best it can be. But this is I think it's a flashpoint that has been brewing ever since rifts started happening, especially ever since the pop. So it'll be possible to try and turn this into a forum. What do the rest of you think?
That sounds pretty reasonable and not an impossible task. So I would support that decision.
Agreed.
Yep.
Okay. Now, Ollie, you are known to the people in general now because you developed a machine that can seal rifts. And as we were talking about during our sort of last off-camera, as it were, meeting, what you have done is, because it's so recent, a lot of people don't really fully understand it. So there's a lot of misunderstandings of people thinking that Ollie knows how to control rifts now, rather than Ollie can, in an emergency, turn them off or stop them, which is the actual case. So people know about you in general, so people might be willing to listen to you. And of course, people know Keva. That's Keva. There's songs about her. And the Sunbreakers and all that. So there's certainly going to be some opportunity there. Like, some people might know about JoJo, the Interdimensional Traveler. Some people might know about Reaching Through the Night, A Scout, but probably, you're not famous at this point. So you do have leverage there between Ollie and Keva for sure.
Yeah. The only problem is that Ollie's not big on big crowds and talking to big crowds of people. That's more Keva's arena. Ollie's happy to explain anything to Keva that might be helpful and, moving things along. But I don't think Ollie would feel comfortable stepping in to speak up just because they're very nervous about crowds and having a whole bunch of eyes on them.
Yeah, of course. You could maybe get Ollie to record something and Keva could bring that with her.
Oh, Ollie would be down for that. Ollie's issue is just...
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
I teach a lot of, I teach public speaking. So I'm very familiar with ways to adapt those activities for students with anxiety.
Yeah. If someone suggested that, Ollie would agree to do it.
So I think that Kev was basically like, okay, everyone, and she sighs, I'm gonna get mixed up in another loud talking thing. Ollie, I know that you would feel uncomfortable doing that, so maybe you'd like to write some notes for me to read or record something.
Yeah, Ollie nods vigorously.
Because I guess a lot of people have thoughts that that doohickey you made can open portals when it could just shut them.
Yeah. I'll get something together real soon. Give me 15. I'll figure something out.
Okay, perfect. Now we just need to figure out how to start this forum.
You'll probably need to get there and get through the crowd and then get attention on yourselves. So, I mean, there are people in this group who are good at all of those things. So we can maybe do, I don't know, a couple group rolls and see where that lands us, if that is okay with all of you.
Okay,
Yeah, sure.
Keva looks at Jojo and is like, Jojo, I'm going to need you to help me get attention onto me. I was thinking you could drive a gigantic stair lift thing. Podium?
I can do that.
You think reaching can find the best way through the crowd?
I was going to say, we
Yeah.
could maybe use the speakers on my suit.
Okay.
I also have bright lights that I can use.
Built-in spotlights.
Keva flinches at the bright lights to get attention thing, and then it's like, yeah, okay. That's the point of it.
We cut to you making your way through the crowd, and do you have a mech or a stair car or something? What's the deal that we're
It's
working
a
with
stair
here?
car. I don't know where Keva got the stair car. I need to roll for the stair car, probably.
You can have a stair car. It's fine. It's
Yeah.
just
I'm just imagining Arrested Development.
I have to Google what a stair car is now. I don't think I've ever seen one in the wild.
Hear me out. It's the Centauran stair car.
Oh, okay.
There's a bunch of it's got repulsor lift technology, and it's just covered in etchings of fish and thalassian creatures.
That's fine, as long as Keva can stand up on it. Okay, here's the problem. When you Google stair car,
all the Bluth Company one. It's
all-
all
Yeah, it is.
every single result.
Oh my gosh!
There's
these
one
people-
that's not Bluth Company. There's one.
I
There's
don't
a
want-
stranglehold on this market. The Blue Company, a proud sponsor of the Captain America Winter Soldier film. Oh, there you go.
But yeah, it's a car with a stairwell on the back, so you could walk up it.
Couldn't be more what it is.
It's what it says. All right, so we cut to you're driving the stair car, and probably reaching is finding the routes of least resistance, getting people out of the way. Maybe there's a speaker or something as you're driving your way into the Poxed Cauldron. Ollie, did you stay at the aquarium, or are you in the stair car?
Ollie will go with everyone, but they're not going to draw any attention to themselves. They're probably hidden away somewhere to watch things.
Hat pulled low over their face.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. So you're able to get through there, and I think what we'll need to do is I'm going to set up a short clock for swaying the crowd here, I'm swaying the crowd makes it sound manipulative. A clock for de-escalating the situation. So I'm going to set up a clock here. So we've got a 4-tick clock to de-escalate the conflict going on with the crowd. First thing you'll need to do is get their attention, and then you'll probably need to make your case.
Oh, I thought I was gonna tune first to get a feel of everything, but that's fine.
I mean, you can do that as well. I'm not here to. I'm not going to tell you these are the steps you need to fill the clock, even though that's what it sounds like I was saying. Just in general, you'll need their attention before you can talk to them. So if you want to tune and like you said, get the vibe of the place, that makes perfect sense too.
Keva's gonna read the vibes.
We are okay. So we're in a risky situation at the moment. So keep that in mind as we go forward with these roles. And I think to tune, the people here are not hiding their emotions or anything, so it's not going to be difficult to read the vibe. So I think it will be risky with standard effects.
Well then.
All right, you rolled a 6, so that's a success. Yeah, you're able to feel the tensions in the air and get an idea what the currents might be. I have a sort of mental image of Keva, I don't know, like licking a finger and holding it up to the wind, but instead of reading the wind, it's reading the vibes.
Can I get a vibe check on the crowd, please?
Yeah, you can see the way people are leaning. This is a pot on the verge of boiling. It's those moments when you can see the bubbles forming and the pot's beginning to shake and shudder, but things have not burst into motion as yet. They're simmering as it's going on, and people are getting worked up. People are talking at each other and past each other at this point. No one is really talking to each other. So that's the vibe you've got. What would you like to do to de-escalate this vibe that you've determined? Anyone can participate in this aspect of the scene.
Yeah, someone else, go ahead. Turn on your speakers. Start playing music.
Summon Bill and Ted.
Oh, if only.
Oh, they're gonna lull the old one back to sleep. There we go.
If only Bell Camp were here.
If only. Oh my gosh, was that a Bill and Ted reference this whole time?
No, that was Wayne's World.
Wayne's World.
Yeah, where's Bell Camp?
Probably with the rest of the Revel of Ellico somewhere.
Vibing in the void.
Maybe we'll find wherever they are.
So,
Jojo or Reaching, you want to work on getting attention or making some space?
Here, Jojo, why don't you just speak into my helmet, and I'm going to project whatever Jojo says.
I had forgotten for a brief moment that Reaching had a Scotch accent.
It's not supposed to be Scotch, it's supposed to be Irish, but...
Sorry, Irish accent.
It's going to slide in and out, because I'm terrible at things.
Oh, Jojo definitely didn't have a speech prepared. They were only ready to be the muscle, but...
I mean, we can speak from our muscles as well.
Mm-hmm.
No, they will, rely under tried and true methods. So I think, depending on how, jacked up the volume is, and I mean jacked up as in, turned up, not, broken, you just hear several grunts as Jojo is essentially posing into the speakers.
And I use my lights to project a hologram of Jojo that is several times larger than Jojo.
oh my gosh, is this gonna end up like Final Fantasy X-2? Where it's like these two different parties are fighting, and then Yuna's like, I know what will help stop them fighting. I'm gonna throw a concert.
That makes sense to
sing.
me. That's all Shinra Core ever needed. They needed a big concert.
Needed a big concert. It sounds like you're trying to connect with the crowd, Jojo. Does that sound?
Yeah.
Okay. So the position is still risky. I would say this is standard effect as well. A big hologram of a shark person doing cool poses will definitely get attention. Hopefully positive attention.
It's gonna be great. I feel it.
I will unleash my ability to rival Metal Gear, some eerily similar to but legally distinct enough from Blue Steel.
Okay.
Yep.
Now you rolled a 3.
That's about right. We're starting off hot.
All right. Well, you got a good vibe check at the start here. All right. Where was I here? Consequences.
On second thought, I don't know why I asked you.
They just haven't seen Zoolander. They didn't get Blue Steel.
Okay. So let's see here. I think as you are doing your large holographic poses, people who are watching take it the wrong way, and they feel that it is like you are trying to maybe advertise something or make this about you. It's like when you show up to a trending hashtag or something and try to advertise your business. Be like, oh, you know what the real hashtag about a serious thing is here would be if you came and downloaded my thing or went to my shop and bought this shirt that I just made about this thing. So people feel like you're sort of trying to profit attention-wise or something-wise off of this large gathering of people in some unrelated way, which is going to reduce a faction status by 1 because people will feel that this reflects badly on the Myriad in general. So, of course, you can always resist consequences.
I would like to try to resist those consequences.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. I was going to say it was going to reduce your faction relations with the Society for the Rediscovery of Lost Cultures, who are here in force on the pro-Rift side, and them seeing you oh, what's the Myriad doing here trying to make this about themselves? What's going on here? So you can try to resist this. I guess it would probably be by trying to clarify your intentions, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. I like the society. I don't want them to think ill of us.
So it's probably going to be semiosis resistance in that case.
All right.
What a
That's not bad.
bizarre turn of events we have engaged in.
All right.
Looks like you got 2 dice in semiosis now.
Let's go.
It's a 4. So it gives you 2 stress from that resistance. Okay. Yeah, so you are able to, through your poses and such, clarify what you actually meant to do here, and so that helps them not think too badly of it, like, oh, okay, I guess maybe they are here trying to help cool things down a bit. What else do we want to try to cool this down?
I'm just gonna try to connect with everyone now, but not by singing.
I mean, it worked out for them.
Okay, give it a shot.
I mean, I know a lot of that song, but I don't want to sing it. I am now embarrassed that I know that much of the song, actually, now that I think about it. Oh boy!
Oh no.
All right, so you got
2
a 1
ones.
here,
You got a double
And-
1.
2 1s there.
Oh
Okay.
boy.
Well, Discord really did want me to sing there.
Okay.
1,000 words have never.
Oh, the good news is I forgot to tick up the clock for the success that you got in tuning, so I'll do that, but it doesn't fill the clock. That's 2 ticks you'd get for standard effects. Okay, so you got a 1 here. You lose this opportunity for action. People are they see Keva get up and on top of the stair car and start trying to talk, and there's the hologram of the Shork doing these poses to draw attention towards it. And I think just the crowd is not having any of it, and you're going to have to find a different way to de-escalate the crowd. At this point, they're not going to listen to you making an impassioned speech at this point. You'll need a different way to get to them. Maybe you'll want to, access them through the wave, or show them something, or something along those lines that will try to help de-escalate this, but they're not going to listen to you making a speech. They'll just shout over you or drown you out, the same way they're doing to each other.
How do we reach these crowds?
Love, do you have that video handy? Maybe I could stream it to everyone over the wave.
Yeah, we can do that. So Ollie will, send it over the wave.
Oh, okay. So it's probably, let's see. It sounds like shape to me.
Yeah.
Right, code, repair, malfunctioning technology. Is it shape, or am I thinking? No, I think shape makes sense. Yeah, so you're risky, and it'll be standard because you know how to work the wave, how to communicate with people over the wave as well. So we'll give that a roll.
The wave.
Oh God.
Okay.
Stop it. It's 2 2s.
This is just supposed to be an opening scene.
Now the
No,
crowd
this is the
turns
whole
on us.
conflict of the session.
Yeah,
JoJo's going to commit a war crime. It's going to be terrible.
we're never leaving this square. People start to get angry as they see like a pop-up appear and like a video start playing, and they're like, hey, isn't that the person who can control rifts? What's this video about? And like they try to click on it. But what happens is that someone has hijacked your broadcast. So instead of a video about you, Ollie, explaining what's going on, they get an ad for a video game.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Can I resist that on Ollie's behalf?
Yes, of course you can. You can always protect. That's one of the moves you can do.
I think someone's trying to hijack the signal. I'm going to try to trace it back to them and, fuzz it.
The skip ad button right away.
I'm building a skip ad button. Not having this.
Yeah, I think this for resistance here, you'll be doing as analysis.
All right, that's 2 dice.
Okay, give it a shot.
2 stress.
Okay, so that costs you 2 stress, but you were able to put in the skip thing there, and as you are tracing back up this line to see where that interruption came from, like you're not able to find just in this way. All you can find is that it came from somewhere, and whoever it was that was putting in that ad, they are hastily covering their tracks, and it would take a sort of sustained effort to try and find them at this point. But they see it's someone who knows what they're doing. That's the best you can get from just a resistance roll on that place. But you're able to put the ad in. So people start to see this video game ad, but instead they, most of them have closed the video instead of watching it at this point. But you could give it another shot, or we could try something else, or we can just accept that this is going to explode and try and clean up afterwards.
I'm going to set a shell aside just in case.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing I want to try is to see if we can just do a large hologram screen of it, you know?
Okay. So you want to do a large hologram screen and like something that will just dominate the skyline and sort of force people to pay attention to what you're saying.
Yeah, it's not gonna dominate. It's not gonna be like huge all over the place. It's just like the what's a good size 20-foot, 30-foot hologram that shows up over there where it's gonna get a lot of attention.
Okay. Well, give it a shot. This is probably maybe trying to connect. I think either this is connect or command at this point.
Yeah, part of me was like shape, but I don't mind doing connect.
Yeah, we've established that you can make big holograms at this point, at least in this area. So it's more the content of that I think is important.
Okay.
All right. So you got a 5 on a standard effect. So that's going to give you 2 ticks. So that does fill up the clock.
Oh, golly gee.
Okay.
Jojo will be on standby to intercept any problems.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the big hologram appears and people sort of grudgingly look up at it. And like some of the people in the crowd are actually watching the video. Like they didn't immediately shunt the video player aside after the ad came up. Like they saw the skip button and then they pressed it and they were like, oh, well, maybe I should listen to what Ollie, the Rift tech, has to say. And then other people are listening to the big hologram of Keva suggesting, you know, why don't we do this the way that we do things here instead of shouting at each other? Let's give it a shot of talking it out. And, you know, we may not all be satisfied with the conclusion, but it's better than destroying our community. Yeah. So I think people are grudgingly and over the course of a long time sort of willing to start talking each other down and be like, yeah, we're pissed off, but we can approach this in a better way. And I think that's able to head off the situation here. The entanglement is dealt with. People sort of gradually drain away from the pocket cauldron, and you are able to return home just in time to get your latest assignment. So as you return back to the aquarium, you can see that there is a note that you have received at your central message receiving area. And so this is from the Bazaar Merchants Collective, and you see a person that you would probably recognize because they're one of the people who is outspoken and often, does public addresses on behalf of the Bazaar Merchants Collective, and it's Professor Jake Dandy.
Yes.
And we established Professor Jake Dandy as, the Bazaar Merchants Collective, a personable and interested in the work of others. They're proud of their unique crafts, but not obnoxious about it. And their unique crafts are clockwork. So they are a clockwork cyborg themselves. Their lower body is constructed from clockwork. They have the large jumping legs of a kangaroo mouse, not kangaroo mouth, a kangaroo mouse. And they're also, the rest of them, an anthropomorphic kangaroo mouse person. They're formerly from the fleet, and they work with a team of apprentices and fellow craftspeople who are interested in the similar, like, clockwork style cybernetics aesthetic. And Professor Jake Dandy's pronouns are they and them. And they are speaking to you, and, they tip their hat and, then are holding the hat between their hands, very earnest expression. And they say, well, what we would like to discuss with you today is that we have made contact with a group of visitors from another realm. They came through the rift that had formed in Capybara Owl's old burrow. I don't know if you remember some time ago, but Capybara Owl was ill and was causing a bit of trouble, and the Monster Care Squad went to take care of it. But after that, there was this lightning storm at the bottom of their burrow, and some people came through. And we've been talking to them, and they've been talking to us, and we're setting up a trade route between Medleystead and where they're from. It's a republic, they say, on the other side of this rift. They claim to represent a large number of habitations of cities and towns across the inflorescence in which we find ourselves. So it seems like a very advantageous proposition for us to work with them to the extent that we can. So the people that we've come through, they're representatives of this republic, and their group is called Cable. They say they're the consortium of Anthophoton brokers, lenders, and entrepreneurs. That's the republic is called the Anthophoton Republic. So we need to kind of determine the best and most equitable way to engage in trade with them, given that well, we don't really do currency here, but they really do currency. Like it's their thing. They like, capital and the growth and development thereof, and we got to figure out how to deal with them in a good way. So we're going to be working with, of course, the Concord Lagoon, and in our talks with the people from Cable here. But we have our suspicions, as we should, of any group of people coming in here and hoping to engage in some type of exchange with us. And some of the things that they've said and some of the things that they've done have led us to be a little bit suspicious of their intentions. And we would like you to look into that while we're at the table with them. Do you think that's something you'd be able to do? Just keep an eye on the people who are here from the Republic. See what they're up to.
Did they come with an armed contingent?
That's a good point.
Professor Jake Dandy pauses, and you can see their eyes sort of looking up as if they're reading something out of a display that only they can see, which is how a lot of people access the wave. And they say, we're not sure. Because of the differences in technology, we're not sure. We don't know. They came with people, a couple dozen people came with them. They could just be merchants and people from the caravan, people who are here to set up a trade route. Maybe some of them are guards. Some of them could be spies for all we know. That's kind of why we need your help. There's nothing that we've seen that are obviously weapons, but that doesn't mean a lot, given that magic exists,
Mm-hmm.
and nanotechnology. A weapon could be as tiny as a fly.
Or a nano machine.
Yeah.
Well, what do they look like, these Unfalfatans?
Oh, lots of different things. As I said, they're a republic. They seem to have... Again, without knowing more, I can't say how they have achieved this, but much like us, they have a fairly eclectic collection of person and body types. The main person we're in touch with, Coda Briffett, and they send over a sort of a hollow of Coda Briffett, and Coda Briffett is just a sort of a tube of particulate floating in the air, twisting around.
Oh.
And it's like not even a cloud, it's like visible pieces of particulate that are floating together in this tube-like shape, twisting around in the air. And it says, this is Coda, and another of the ones we saw looked sort of like a duck with 4 humanoid arms. And we saw another person that looked sort of like a sea cucumber with a beak. And you've seen all kinds of different body types. So it's not anyone that doesn't look like someone you'd see from here, but that's a wide sample type,
See, we have gingerbread people, so it's getting worse,
Yeah, it's difficult to know who's not from here, right? That's, I suppose, I don't want to call it a danger, but I suppose it's a potential drawback of...
Complication.
A complication, that's a good way of putting it. Thank you. Reaching.
Keva stops for a second and has given Ollie and Jojo some side eyes about sea cucumber person, partly because of the fact that she noticed that description and is like, okay.
I can show you the people that we know for sure are with them, the ones that they came with. I can send you a dossier with their information that we've been able to gather. I don't know if there are others who are not as obviously with them. Like, as you know, we don't carry out mass surveillance or, that type of thing here in Medleystead, so people could be here that we don't know about. You can see as you are speaking to Professor Jake Dandy, there is a notification that you have another call waiting.
Reaching looks over at Keva, just waiting to see her course of action.
Yes, we have another call coming in. We're up for it. How about you send us those dossier and we'll start planning some of our actions from this point forward and take this other call. Is that all right with you?
Oh, absolutely. I was just hoping to get your okay and let us know that you're able to take this on. We really appreciate it. You come highly recommended by Concord Lagoon.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm going to go with a hard probably.
Okay. All right, and all right, I'll say hi to Jolly and Emran. I'm going to drop by there a little bit later today before the talks, and I will talk to you all soon after the talks, and hopefully you'll have something interesting to tell us, but hopefully not too interesting. if you know what I mean.
Yep.
And they wink and they reach up and wave a hand. Their call ends, and you notice that the indicator for call waiting has started like flashing more determinedly in a way that it's not supposed to, in the way that the system is designed.
Well, Keva opens it.
The icon sort of bursts open, and you see the Logistarch's face.
Face.
Yeah, just like it's just looming in the room. And after a moment,
Okay, but quick question: what does the Logistarch's face look like?
it can look like whatever she wants it to look like, but at the moment, it's just like a big 3D hologram of a face, like a fairly. It's recognizable as the Logistarch, but it's not like this is the version of the Logistarch's avatar that you are used to interacting with.
Okay.
So it's like it's mechanical face plate, like a robot. It's a robot face, but a robot face that is like a simplified humanoid face, like slits for eyes, a slight bump for a nose, and a mouth that doesn't move, but which emits sound from a speaker in there.
Okay.
It's almost a mask, but metallic.
I have an idea. Okay.
She says, "What took you so long?
Trade
Couldn't you
deal.
tell it was me?" Trade. Oh, well, actually, I guess that's quite important. Okay. And she pauses for a moment and realizes how huge she's projected her face into the aquarium and adjusts it back to a much smaller size. Says, "Apologies, I'm just..." "Very well. Are you finished with your previous call?"
We can talk.
"Good. That video game advertisement from earlier today?"
Yes. That was very annoying.
"I'm suspicious. I don't think it's from here."
Yeah, it was very weird looking from what I saw. Not like any of the ones around here that I've heard of. Not a developer I know of.
Okay, now, have you talked to... what's their name? Professor Professor Jerk Dandelion. Have you spoken to them recently?
Jerk Dandelion.
For the merchant?
Oh, Jake.
Yes, that's what I said. Yes. Have you spoken to them recently?
They were the person I was just talking to.
Okay, so they told you about the game.
No, they told me about a trade deal.
This is the matter with cable.
Yes.
Okay. Did they hire you to... Are you negotiating? She looks vaguely horrified.
They want to the collectives. Okay, the Bizarre Collective.
You can say yes or no, dear.
They're negotiating.
They're negotiating. They are negotiating, and
With
you are.
people. We've been hired, and I said a hard probably to surveil this cable group that has come through.
Surveillance. Okay, good. Yes, please do that. See if they are related to this video game.
Is there any sort of signature that came along with the game advertisement that we'd be able to scan them for subtly?
I'm working on it, but it appears to be some type of direct transmission virtual reality experience, meaning that, I don't think it was designed with the wave in mind, but it has been modified to function on the wave. So people could simply download this and play it with their brains. Games like this are not uncommon, of course, but
yeah, it reminds me. Sorry, it reminds me of the virtual reality from the sun.
Something along those lines. Yes, similar to that.
Keva is obviously displeased.
Well, if you think
full immersion simulation.
If you think it's coming from the Unforfeited Republic, that would imply that they might have had enough time to study the way the wave works.
Yes, that's why I'm worried.
I don't like this at all.
Yeah, reaching opens one of the dossiers immediately.
There's a variety of different people in there, like a couple of dozen, but scanning through them, and we can sort of abstract this. If you scan through this along with the Logistarch, she can sort of help you, prioritize these, at least according to the ones that she thinks are more likely to be involved in this kind of thing, like people that she thinks, from her limited information, might have this kind of skill or something along those lines. And, you're working on very sketchy information, but again, she is very smart.
I'd also like to cross-reference that with anyone who might have... I know these dossiers are extremely limited, but I want to cross-reference the Logistarch's ideas with anyone who might have military ties.
Okay. You can give that a shot. We can move into like the mission prep phase at this point. So essentially, you have your main objective, which is to keep an eye on the cable people and see what they're getting up to during the talks. And you have a secondary objective, a bonus objective from the Logistarch to figure out if they are connected to this video game. So if you want to start on your mission prep, we can do that now, which is the mission. Okay, planning an engagement. Your crew spends time planning each mission. We don't need to see everything that they're doing. We look at what type of plan your characters have made. Then we'll do an engagement roll, and that will require a detail for the type of plan. And of course, you can do information gathering before you start on a mission, or you can always flash back to that during a mission if you wish. So your missions, gathering information. So you are gathering information here. And when we're gathering information, we assume a controlled position, and gather information rolls they don't really have the same type of consequence, just the level that you get affects the quality of information that you receive. So reaching, you were cross-referencing the Logistarch's assumptions and projections with information that you will be trying to dig up on what little is known about military or armed forces related to Anthophyta, which is not much, but you might be able to find some patterns. So to do that, how are you approaching this? Are you just doing research, or?
I think so. But what meager stuff is available? Maybe I reach out to the flotilla to see if they know anything that the bazaar isn't privy to.
Okay, so this might be Decipher is specifically do research and analyze data, but Trace is find something or someone hidden. So that's conceivably a way we could approach it.
I would go with Trace because that seems to fit how reaching would approach this. Like, this isn't me coursing through data. This is me talking to connects and trying to draw lines.
Okay, so yeah, roll your Trace, and we'll see how much info you get. Oh, you already did that. Okay, 3. Okay, so limited information. Yeah, like we said, it is difficult to find much of anything on these people because we assume recently arrived, but it's hard to say for certain. But what you can figure out is that the dossier does include a person who has a similar body type to the being that Jojo and Ollie battled recently at the outpost. It doesn't appear to be the same individual, but it looks like a similar it looks like the same species.
The Republic is a broad tapestry made up of a lot of different threads, but they might be using this particular species as advanced shock troops or saboteurs. Of course, this is all conjecture, but something.
Anyone else want to do any prep or research before we launch into this surveillance stuff?
I would maybe, having faced off against the sea cucumber folks, I wonder if I could find anything more about them specifically.
Okay. Without going to speak to one of them, the answer is probably no, given that, again, there's just not much information about the Anthophytan Republic at this point. I guess you could look at the recordings if... I guess you don't really have recordings from that mission because of the way technology was affected. You could meditate on your memories of that encounter and see if there's anything else you could notice.
Yeah, I think I'll do that.
Okay, that's probably 2?
Yeah, 2 makes sense.
It could be Decipher, or whichever works for you.
It should be 2, because I have no Decipher.
Well, okay, yeah, I mean, you go for it then. Let's tune and see what you got.
You can't read.
They might not be able to.
Words in the Zot.
No words, only shells.
Mm-hmm.
Is this counting as collect info?
Yeah.
So because of my intercepting fist, when I collect info about possible threats to the team, I get +1 impact.
Okay, great.
That's a super cool ability. I love that.
Okay, fours all around.
So it'll be standard information, but because of your intercepting fist, that means you get good information.
Hey, Jojo.
Noise.
Okay. Okay, fun thing. There's a fun thing here that is going to happen. But before the fun thing happens, you are doing your meditation, I assume, in your quarters at the aquarium.
Indeed.
So I'm going to guess that your meditation isn't sitting there, in a space humming or whatever. What does Jojo do for meditation?
It's a meditation in motion, so I don't want to.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was guessing.
Yeah, I don't want to say it's exactly Tai Chi, but the closest analog I can come up with. Something that's just intentional but fluid motions.
Okay. So, yeah, a type of almost martial arts adjacent movement.
Right.
Probably something very slow and deliberate, like you were saying. Okay. So as you were doing this, it's almost like you find yourself moving through the exchanges you had with that. At this point, we can assume it's a person, not just a being or a creature. That was a person that you were battling. Because if there are more of them and they are part of this republic, then it's a person, right? So the person, you're going back through that encounter in your mind. And as you do, it's like you can begin to understand their intentions or their feelings through how they moved and how they fought. And the way that they fought and the things that they were carrying, you notice in your memories as your memories become so clear as you move through these motions, replaying this encounter in your inner eye, you can see that the equipment that person was wearing looks to be of a similar make to what you can see some of these cable people carrying. It's not the same stuff, but it's like you can recognize the signature or the style of it. Similar materials, similar aesthetics to it. The technology that they wear. So it seems like even if it's not the same faction, they're at least from the same style of technology that these people are from. There's a definite connection there. So even if they're not working together, they are from the same place, whoever it was that was messing with the outpost and these cable people.
All right.
The fun thing that happens is as you are reaching this moment of realization, that shell that you were compelled to bring with you, it opens. And the ooze inside of the shell, you notice this out of the corner of your eye as you are coming out of your meditative state. You can just briefly see it before the ooze collapses and the shell closes again. The ooze was mimicking your movements and your shape. And
Turtles 3.
It flattens out back into this sort of star speckled. You know how, like when you look at asphalt under the sun, there's those glowing specks where the light reflects off the minerals in it?
Yes.
The ooze is like that, but a goo. And it sort of flattens and stills out again, and the shell closes back over it. But there's still that broken part of the shell you can see inside it a little bit. But the ooze is back to being motionless.
I'm kind of flattered, also unnerved.
Now, anytime... this is something to keep in mind going forward, and I'll remind you about this. Anytime that you start thinking too hard about this shell, or anytime you begin to investigate it, or think of it about telling someone about this shell, it's like something always just happens to take place to distract you from it until you kind of forget or it fades away. Like, for example, in this moment, as Jojo is maybe looking and considering what that could mean, there's all of a sudden the summons to, okay, let's get started with this mission. Let's get moving. What have we got? Jojo, what'd you learn about these creatures? That sort of means that like the shell thing gets shelved, as it were.
Hey, you tell me something happens to make me clam up.
All right, one more. You got it.
Yeah, it's not like you're being shellfish. It's just some type of effect that's keeping you from sharing this with other people. Okay, I think that's enough of those.
Really bad.
Anything else we want to do before we launch in here?
I'd like to win.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Is there any way to view the old video game video? Did anyone manage to capture it or anything?
Oh, the Logistarch absolutely has that footage. But it's not the full commercial. It's not the full ad because you and Reaching shut it off. So it's just like maybe a 10-second clip.
Did we get the name or anything? Or the publisher?
No, that is not in there. But I mean, if you want to analyze it, you can do that for sure.
Okay, Ollie will try doing that. I don't know how well they'll be able to do that.
Okay, this is probably Decipher.
Okay.
Developed by Big Bad Industries.
Yeah, I don't know anything.
Well, you roll a 1, but that means that you get very limited information.
Yeah.
So what you see, because again, it's a very small amount of footage, and whoever was playing it, as soon as they realized that they were being traced, they like nuked everything they could. But the 10 seconds of footage is enough when you dig into it to show you that, like the Logistarch was saying, this was not a game originally designed to work through the wave. It looks like it's been patched from some other technological infrastructure into something compatible with the wave. And the like footage that you can sort of see, and because you don't have the full advertisement, you can't really tell if it's in-game footage or rendered footage or whatever the case may be. But it does appear to be a fully immersive sim, and it looks like it's some type of action-adventure game. Like the character in it is holding a weapon and looks to be getting ready to descend into like a dungeon of some sort. They're heading into some underground thing, getting ready to fight. And that's really all there is in the footage.
Ah,
Dragon's Dogma 2.
Oh, I'm sorry, who is taking notes for this session?
someone with a better memory than me.
I was not asked to. I don't remember.
I can take them. No sweat.
Thank
Okay.
you.
I just remember us saying we were going to like to alternate, so we should probably set up an actual schedule for that or something.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you, Velvet, for taking that on. I'll put together some notes for the first part of the session here. Apologies for not bringing that up at the beginning. Good. Should we figure out our mission type?
Let's go for it.
Yeah, what's a reconnaissance subversive?
Okay, so you've got battle, deception, stealth, technical, social, or transport. So battle is use violence to attack or defend. Deception is lure, trick, or manipulate. Stealth is trespass unseen. Technical is deploy technology or channel transcendent forces. Social, negotiate, bargain, or persuade. And transport, carry cargo or people through danger.
Think like the second one.
Deception?
Both work. Yeah.
Yeah, like the idea is that it's like, hi, we're gonna be your, what is it? Like
Tour guides?
tour guides,
Chaperones?
chaperones. That's it.
Local guides? I don't...
Yeah, and then we're basically trying to figure them out and make sure they don't learn too much, or
Okay. Is your plan to approach this as if you are officially assigned to them, or do you want to try and make it seem like, oh, you just happen to run into these people?
Oh no, officially assigned.
Okay, is everyone on board with that one?
Seem like we're being honest.
Well, I think that it's like Keva is being officially assigned, and I think it would make sense if it was like, oh, these are just other people that we came to run into that are with us.
Okay. So the detail for a deception plan is the method of deception, which I think we've just laid out there. You're going to tell them that you're tour guides / chaperones.
Keva is.
Keva is. And then the rest of you just happen to be there to help out with that process or show them around. Okay. And load. What load would you all like load out? There's, you've got light, normal, or heavy. Light is the one that allows you to move most freely, pass most naturally, to look like you're just going about your regular everyday business. Normal is you look like you're getting ready to do you look like you could be getting ready to do something serious, like getting ready to do some serious work, or, deal with some problems, or maybe getting ready for a fight if that's the look you're going for. But it's obvious with a normal load that it is obvious to people who are paying attention that when you have a normal load, you are ready for some kind of action. And then heavy is, there's no mistaking that you are getting ready to do some serious business of some sort. And you'll probably be more loaded down and less able to move freely.
Light, I would say.
Yeah, probably light.
Normal always for Ollie.
Okay.
Ollie needs their stuff.
Yeah.
Jojo's probably going light per usual.
Okay. All right. So Ollie might, look like they are on their way to a work site or something like that.
Yeah.
You could probably try and pass it off in that way if it comes up.
Yeah, Ollie is not exactly running around with a bunch of weapons. It's just a bunch of tools. They can probably pass as a pack possum. Pack rat, pack possum.
Okay, good. Once you choose a plan, provide its detail, we cut to the action. So in order to cut to the action, we need to do an engagement roll. You start with 1 die for sheer luck. Major advantages, a particularly bold or daring plan. I don't think so in this case. If the plan is particularly effective at accomplishing the goal or exploits a weakness in the target. No. If a friend, contact, or community member can help with the mission, you've got the Logistarch kind of on your side here, so I think that'll be +1 die, because the Logistarch can do a lot of different things. +1 for miscellaneous elements, differences in tier, faction, politics, etc. No +1 there. +1 from foundations and abilities, provide bonus engagement roll. Don't have that one. Major disadvantages. -1 for overly complex that relies on many factors. No, you're just doing the one lie. -1 if the plan is particularly ineffective at accomplishing the goal or targets an obstacle where it's strongest. This one is...
One lie.
You mean to tell me these interdimensional super capitalists who are trying to infiltrate Medleystead are rather hardened against espionage?
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking about this one. Yeah, I think that's got to be a -1.
Sure.
Minus rival or enemies interfering with the mission. Not at this point. And -1 for miscellaneous elements. Nothing that I think that will necessarily impact you beyond the fact that these people may or may not be expecting this kind of deception. So that is one die. And would anyone like to roll that, or do you want me to roll it?
Let me do it.
Okay, you can do it.
Real quick, remind me what type of mission this is?
Deception.
Deception.
Perfect.
Disgrace.
Perfect. I
Okay.
shouldn't have.
So,
I got a 2, everyone.
remember our first session using the dice pot?
Oh, yeah.
Remember those days?
Remember when the
Okay.
curve evened out?
You got a 2 there. Okay, so when you roll in your engagement a 1 to 3, that means that your starting position is desperate. Now, the good news about starting in a desperate position is that all of your rolls will generate experience, right? So that's good.
Hey.
Looking on the bright side.
Mhm. This roll describes your approach to the target. So, like, we get this implied montage, of Keva being like, "Oh, hi, I've been assigned as your chaperone," and so on and so forth. And, "Oh, look, here are my compatriots who just happen to be here." And I think it just doesn't really fly. But the people that you are approaching here want you to think that you have succeeded in deceiving them. So they're trying to trick you into thinking that you have tricked them.
But we know that they know.
But I think you are able to notice, perhaps with like a little heads up from the Logistarch, that the group that you have intercepted, like they saw you coming and they split up. So you only have eyes on one set of people, and presumably it's the set of people that is not likely to be doing anything because they're acting as a decoy for you.
Okay.
So we open up on, you're at a cafe. So there's this nice cafe. It's built up in, I don't want to say we're in the bazaar, so it'll be somewhere else, maybe having a cafe. Let's see here. Ooh, the spaceport. Okay. So you're all the way up on the mountain in the spaceport here, and you have found yourselves like gradually drawn this way by this group that you are supposedly chaperoning. And you're at this cafe up in the spaceport, and the cafe is an old spaceship. It's because spaceships don't really work here these days. You can see there's, as usual in the spaceport, there's the whirring of machines all over the place, and there's ships sort of taking off and landing, but like not going very far. They can only go very short distances before whatever it is that prevents long distance flight in this reality takes over, and they're forced to return. But, they can make short trips around the city or to the outskirts of the city. There's on one side of you a ship with a glass side, and inside you can see a bunch of Centaurans who are swimming around having their own cafe experience. But you are sitting out here around a couple of round tables you've got 2 people with you. So you've got a pair of people from Cable who are directly in here. There's another 2 inside the cafe picking up some orders for their compatriots. And yeah, you've managed to get some tables. There's some umbrellas over them to keep the full light of the solar array, which is stronger here up on the mountain, off of skins and flesh coverings and body coverings that may not want to have the full weight of that light at all times. And so there's 4 of the people that you wanted to keep an eye on out of about 12 that you were hoping to keep your eyes on. 4 of them are here with you, and you've been drawn all the way up here to the spaceport, to this cafe.